Hey y'all, welcome to this week's Wu-Man Chu Chronicles. I am Wu-Man Chu, um, and tonight I'm the special guest, and I'd like to give a special happy birthday shout out to the RZA for his birthday yesterday and Inspected X's birthday today. Happy birthday to you too. Um, what we're doing with the Wu-Man Chu Chronicles is we're interviewing the performers on Sureth Fest this year in September. Hopefully everything will be just fine. We had to postpone it from this month. It was supposed to happen like 2 weeks in the future from today, but due to COVID, that wasn't happening. So we're gonna have it in September instead. September 16th to the 20th, I believe, at the Grindhouse in Pueblo, Colorado. And there's about almost 20 comics and over 20 musicians, musical acts on the bill, and it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. On the bottom there is all my social media handles and my website. Hopefully, you can see my story there and how I became a superhero. And also, there's Venmo and PayPal's for my friends at the Smitty's Greenlight Tavern because they are currently closed due to COVID, and we're trying to raise funds for their virtual tip jar. And also, I highly recommend going out to the Grindhouse. They are currently open and definitely eat there. They have great vegetarian food, vegan options, great drinks, great food. They also have like meat dishes if you're a carnivore. So it's freshly made every day. So definitely go check them out and tip them well and all that good stuff. But for this episode, it's just a solo episode. I wanted to shine the light on my friends first, and that's why I decided to postpone mine until now. And we all share our stories because everyone on these interviews, the Wu-Man Chu Chronicles, we all have stories to tell and how we became who we are as comedians, as musicians, and so forth. As for me, I started off being I didn't my idea of I had this idea of wanting to be a Halloween costume like every year. And one year I was living out in Los Angeles and I didn't know what I wanted to be. Um, and so a couple of friends of mine at the time had suggested that since you met half of the Wu-Tang Clan, why don't you call yourself Wu-Man? And I'm like, that sounds too much like a woman. And why don't I go with Wu-Man Chu, kind of like the band Fu Manchu? And they said that's perfect. So I made a homemade mask that I got from the Chit Chat Club in Los Angeles. It was like a masquerade mask, and I just painted it all black and designed it with yellow paint and threw a Wu Tang logo on there. And then I got some fabric from I think it was Joanne in Sherman Oaks, right by the old Blockbuster, and got some yellow and black fabric and starting cutting up the Wu Tang logos at Clive Barker's office. That's where I was in an intern at, or during my apprentice days or so. And I cut up all the logos that I saw because they all have individual logos, and I glued them on, and that was that as the original. And my another old friend of mine had painted all their logos on two of my black cargo pants, and I was ready to go. I had my friend from overseas bought me some Converse All Stars that were black and yellow, and so it was head to toe all we tanged out black and yellow. It wasn't like Wiz Khalifa or nothing like that. So I that was after my time there, I believe. Um, and so I pretty much did that, and then on Halloween weekend, I went and saw um Danzig Legacy all dressed up, ready to go as Fu Manchu. Uh, but I think before I did actually go to that show, I went to the Baked Potato and saw Danny Carey perform with his band. I can't remember. I think it was Volto, but he also plays in Tool, and that was a lot of fun. I was like 5-10 feet away from his drum set and got to see him perform up close at the Baked Potato. That was pretty neat. Um, and I took my friend there, and he was a drummer. He's from my hometown of Pueblo, Colorado, and then I took Leatherface. He played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw remake. To the Danzig Legacy show the next night. It was Halloween night, and we saw Sam Hain, Danzig, and the Misfits all in one show at the Gibson on Halloween night. And we were backstage already. I got backstage passes from my pal that worked at a liquor store in Studio City, and so he hooked us up with some backstage passes and got me 4 of them, and I took Leatherface out there. And so he said, I'll watch your back from the seats here, and I think he and his buddies took some seats that didn't belong to theirs, and there's no way that those people would get their seats back. And but it was cool to have like Leatherface watch my back, and afterwards we ended up hanging out backstage with the Danzig guys and Sam Hain and the Misfits, and there was like Type of Negative guys there and Puddle of Mud, the Jackass guys. There was just so many celebrities back there, and musicians and famous people, and it was pretty cool, you know. And I think Leatherface offered me some weed, and so I took a hit, but it was just a small one. But it was good times, you know. What else? While I lived out there in LA, I also dressed up as my Wu-Man Chu, like as one of my last days out there in LA, and picked up some comic books for Clive, and I've always wanted to dress up as a superhero and pick up comic books at the old Meltdown Comics on Sunset Boulevard. That was a dream come true. They didn't question anything. There was an event going on too. I don't know what it was, but they had all kinds of events in the back room. It was like Nerdist and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I went with an old friend there. On my 30th birthday out there, I made a short film called The Misadventures of Wu-Man Chu, and me and some old pals got together and filmed the whole thing. And it took over a couple days. One part was the earlier parts were happening at uh, the midnight premiere of The Man with the Iron Fists premiere. It was a midnight premiere, and uh, we had like made a lot of jokes and ate dinner at the ArcLight and on Hollywood in the Cinerama Dome there. And I remembered like we filmed a bunch, like going in and scaring people. Like I startled some people out of an elevator because they had the mask and stuff on. They weren't ready for that. And also there was I was walking down and my pal was waiting for me on the bottom there and had his camera ready. And so I walked down and the entranceway, and as soon as I saw the promo table with all the posters and everything, camera lights just started flashing left and right, and the whole crowd just went nuts. And this guy Dimitri from he was working like behind the scene, like one of the big dogs behind Wild Boys and Jackass and stuff. He saw me and he walked up to me and asked if I could get a photo with him, and an old friend had taken a photo of us, and it was on Twitter and stuff like that, but it's somewhere out there. And that was fun on that night. And they gave me all the promotional posters, and I still have those Man with the Iron Fists posters in my closet here. Let's see here. Part of that movie, we also shot along on my 30th birthday. We had a parade with the rest of the superheroes and the characters on Hollywood Boulevard, and we went on like the Egyptian theater, and we just went all out, and we had lunch at the Rainbow. And I remember taking the photo on the day of. There was an address that said 1227. And I had to take a picture of it because that was the day of my birthday, and I just remembered driving by it all the time, and I thought, well, that marks it perfectly. So I took a photo with that one. Yeah, we just took my business cards and we shoved them in the table at the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and threw them in like these tour buses in Hollywood, and in these toilets, and that were people were in public restrooms. I didn't do it. The person that was with me did it. And I'm not responsible for those, but he was. but then shortly after, I moved back home. So you'll see the Misadventures of Wu-Man Chu on here. So just check out the exploitation short films uh, there. They're also on my website. Scrolling on the bottom, just put exploitation, like Asian dash short dash films, and then you'll see that on there as well. What else? I moved back home and I entered a 24-hour film festival with my old friends back home, and it was called "Where Are You, Wu-Man Chu?" And that was a lot of fun. Um, and that one's also on this channel, and the production notes are in the description box there, and you'll see like all this production notes, and they were also on my website too. So definitely check those out when you get the chance. But I just learned how to edit. I didn't know how to edit, and so I just dove right in and learned how to do that on there. Um, I also, oh, I forgot to mention that I started doing stand up as Wu-Man Chu in LA before I left, and I was so nervous. My alter ego was so nervous that I had to dress up like this to do 5 minutes of stand up at a coffee shop in LA. It was at Studio City's The Jump Cut Cafe. And on my interview that I did on like one of the comedy interviews, it's on there. Um, you'll see it plus the original stand-up routine and all that stuff. It's like 20 minutes long, but it's worth watching. It was a long time ago. I'm not sure if the answers still hold up, but it is what it is. I won't update it, but I remember the host asked me. I took off my mask and I put it in my car and changed my shirt. And the host was like, "Where did the superhero go? I need him to do 5 more minutes." And I'm like, my alter ego was like, "I don't know. I'm just his manager." And he goes, "You're pulling an Andy Kaufman on me, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yep, I am." It's the whole Andy Kaufman, Tony Clifton thing. It was a whole lot of fun. Um, and then I got roasted as Wu-Man Chu, and in the February of 2014, I believe, or 2015. But before that, I did Fest back in October, which was 4 months prior. I'm jumping around like a gummy bear. So 4 months later, we did our very first show, and we got roasted by our peers, and it was a lot of fun. And that roast is on my comedy videos here. And it's like an hour long, and you'll find it funny. It's pretty fun. My first real comedy show ever was my roast, and it was a whole lot of fun that day. It was on Singles Day, I believe it was, back in 2014. Um, and what else? I started doing stand up as an open micer, of course, and I remember having like I made these old Chappelle things attached to my fist, like those Batman 1960s 70s show thing, with my punchlines, if you will, back in Pueblo. That was fun. And I started doing more stand up as Wu-Man Chu in Daytona Beach. And I remember signing up twice, once for me and once for my alter ego. And the cool thing was like they played along with it, and it was so much fun. Like Daytona and Jacksonville, like I've always had a blast there. I did some open mics in Orlando as Wu-Man Chu, but they didn't go so well. So I just left it at that. But I would always go to horror conventions like Spooky Empire and Days of the Dead and Denver Comic Con as Wu-Man Chu, and the whole place would just go nuts. I went to the Days of the Dead in Atlanta and Chicago, and the fans would just be jumping all over me. They're like, "We've never seen a Wu-Tang superhero." And I entered a comedy contest, not a costume contest in Daytona once, and I ended up winning like their Daytona Comic Con bucks, and some of the competitors that were competing against me also gave me some of their bucks, and I ended up spending all that money on comic books and action figures while I was there, and so it was a whole lot of fun. Um, But yeah, there's and all my social media is on the bottom there, and follow me on all those, and I'll follow you back, if I remember. Um, let's see, and so the old Halloween costume idea just stuck and took a life of its own, and I'm really thankful that as a huge fan of the Wu-Tang Clan, I got to dress up as this. It's kind of like Venom with his symbiote, or however you pronounce it, and being stung by killer bees, and I'm honored to have met some of the members of the Wu-Tang Clan, because those guys are really nice folks, and I got to see them like this in LA at Club Nokia when it was called Club Nokia. I think it's the Microsoft Theater at the moment now, and I got to see them dressed like this at Red Rocks on Halloween night, and I didn't wear a mask because I didn't know masks were allowed, but they were, and a fan saw me dressed up as Wu-Man Chu from head to toe again, and they gave me their mask, and they took photos of my outfit and my cape and stuff like that, and always a good time. I took my buddy that was on my roast. He was my tour manager for the time being, um, as a stand-up comic in Colorado, but half of the tour got canceled because of the snow, so we couldn't drive anywhere. So we stayed home for the last half, but it all cleared up before the Wu-Tang concert. So Immortal Technique was there, and Jedi Mind Tricks, and someone else from New York. So it was a good concert, great concert, and they wrote my alter ego's name on the ticket and printed it on there, and I still have it to this day. It's on my Instagram, as my alter ego's Instagram, if you will. It's on there. But that's pretty much my story. That's as Wu-Man Chu, and I've been performing on Fest every single year since it started back in 2000 as a music and comedy festival in 2014. It started off as a film festival at Clive Barker's place in 2010. So for it to live on like for 7 years with just music and comedy this time has been a blessing, and in disguise, like my mask, and um, and hopefully I can do like a one-man show with this, and I'm thinking about doing that, called with the stories on Sunset, but like a live version. My buddy that was my roast master. He helped me collaborate on the image, and it looked perfect. Couldn't have asked for more. I'm keeping everyone's names out of this, so to keep protect them from all that good stuff. But you'll see all their names on the roast and on the movies and stuff like that. And once you go watch them, and hopefully you guys leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll subscribe back to you on this channel. But yeah, and also I forgot to mention that Wu-Man Chu also it did some interviews with some famous people like Five Finger Death Punch, and Jill Huntress of Huntress, and uh, Jill Janis, I believe. And there's DJ Muggs, and everyone. There's Cisco Adler. Everyone that's on here. Um, Dope DOD, Violent J, and DJ Paul, and a couple others crashed that interview, and that was fun. The But yeah, it's been an awesome trip to be a superhero, inspired by the Wu-Tang Clan, and I don't do anything for money for this, because it's more like a fun thing, more to bring like a smile to people's faces that superheroes are real, and the Wu-Tang Clan are inspired by superheroes too, like Iron Man and Johnny Blaze and so forth, and all that good stuff. So it all comes back around, like all this stuff, how they're influenced by the Asian culture, because I'm an Asian superhero, and superheroes, and everything's just connected. And so if they see this, hopefully they like it. And and thanks for having them be an inspiration to me, and the rest of the world. But on the bottom there's all my socials, my website. On the bottom there, I'm raising funds, as I mentioned earlier, for the bartenders of Smade's Greenlight Tavern, because they are shut down because of COVID. And I'm also raising funds for the Grindhouse in Pueblo, Colorado. That's where they're hosting Strathfest all 5 days in September if all goes well and COVID simmers down. And we might have to live stream it. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to make it work. I'm not postponing it again. And it's going to be late, so that way you guys can catch the Broncos game and all that stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's Wu-Man Chu Store. I think I covered everything. If I'm missing something, then I'm sorry, and I'm looking forward to my adventures. Pueblo's known as a home of heroes, and this is a superhero that was from Pueblo, so I'll always call Pueblo my home. And so, signing off. I was gonna say up and away, but that's already taken, so I'm gonna start saying I'm not a cosplayer. I just crush a lot. And that's for inspired by Big Pun. So hopefully you like that sign off. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully catch this in a future episode. And I'm looking forward to interviewing some more musicians and comics on the bill of Strathfest and introducing you to my pals. They're all great, talented folks. So, yeah. Again, I'm not a cosplayer. I just crush a lot. Have a good evening, folks.